Welcome back. Today's topic is beyond the four varnas and subordinate and conflict. So let's see what is it. Here the Brahmanas considered some people as subordinates or the very low class. They consider themselves being outside the system, and so they developed a sharper social divide by classifying certain social categories, saying that these people are untouchables. And for this, what do? They rested upon one idea or notion, and that is, here you can see that they started dividing the people according to their activities, especially what they do, what kind of jobs they perform. So for this, what did they do? They looked at the way the rituals were performed, sacred things are done. The next topic is an alternative social scenario. So under this, we'll be talking about how wealth is being shared to different people. So till now, we had seen that, or we have examined that there were people who were assigned status on the basis of their wealth or on the basis of their job. So just now we had seen that people claimed or were assigned some status. There were other possibilities as well. There were situations where people are respected if they were generous, but there were also some people who were disliked because of their accumulating habits. They just accumulate wealth for themselves instead for helping people. Here were some people who were totally disregarded, but there was one area where these values were cherished, and this was in Tamilakam. The word Tamilakam we came across in chapter 2. So here we came across that there were some or several chiefdoms who were living at around 2000 years ago, and all these people had some patronage, or they really believe in poems and singers, and they sing songs along with the bards, or they patron the bards. They really appreciate the bards, and these bards write or sing in the praise of the leader, and whatever they sing, if it is good, they will be awarded. All these poems were included in the Tamil Sangam. At present also, if you read some of this, you will find that anthologies were there which illuminate social and economic relationship, that suggest that while there were some people who were rich or poor, but these differences have to be thrown out, and those people who can or who are rich enough, they have to share, or they are expected to share whatever they have with the poor people. Social status means the type of job he or she does. The higher the job, the good status; the lower the job, he has got a weak or the lowest status. Now let us move on to a new topic, explaining social differences. Here you will see that the Buddhists also try to develop an alternative way to differentiate or to understand the social inequalities, and that also to regulate social conflict. They don't want people to just fight, so they said, if you read some book, that is Sut Pitak, you will see that human bodies are not fully developed or evolved. Not only that, even plants were not fully developed. It means that all forms of life, they live a very peaceful life, because whatever they get it from nature. Whatever they need or they need for meal, they get it from the nature. So they are living peacefully out here. But as the time passed by, people became greedy. Okay, they started gradually deteriorating the state of human beings. They were deceitful, vindictive. They started hampering the nature, and this led them to wonder, what if there is a person who can help them in selecting what is good for them, what is right for them, and who could censure that what should rightly be censured or what can be removed, and also who should be vanished and who deserve to be vanished. If they can decide, and if there is a person who can help them, they will be greatly helpful. So this was suggesting towards the involvement of the kingship. And as kings started ruling, tax was also included in their life. That means that they started to pay taxes for the services that is been given by the king. Then the tax of payment services, as I said, rendered by the king, because he is trying to help them. It reveals that the recognition of human was very important. Here they recognize who can direct them, who can take them towards the future. So now there were many agencies in creating and institutionalizing economic and social relations. I hope it is clear. Now let us move on to our next topic. Handling texts, historians and the Mahabharata. So here, if you look through the sources which are cited in the chapter regarding the analyzing of the text, we will see that historians studied different types of books. They examine whether texts were written in Prakrit, Pali or Tamil languages, and that was used by ordinary people, or the books were written in Sanskrit, a language which was almost or exclusively for priests and the elites. So that was a case that we find in Mahabharata. They also consider that kinds of texts here. Let us see what is that. In this part, we will be looking for that what they try to find out about the authors, or the perspective and the ideas that was shaped as a text. All this writer, they wanted to intend some kind of audience, saying that very often authors, they try to keep the interest of the audience in mind while composing any kind of work. They don't want to just write whatever they want. They see who will be reading this. They also try to ascertain that the possible date of composition or compilation of the text was also clearly done on that particular day, or who have done it. They also wanted to say where was the book composed, in which place it was composed. After all this assessment, they try to write the content of the text so that people can understand the historical significance of the book. Now let us move on to our next topic. It is language and the content. It is all about the language in which the Mahabharata text was written. So let us look at the language of the text. So as you all know that Mahabharata was basically written in Sanskrit, as Sanskrit was regarded as one of the influential or the authoritative language of that time. However, the Sanskrit language which was used in Mahabharata is much simpler than the Vedas or than that of Prashastis. Historians, they classify the contents of the present text under two broad heads. That is, the first one, it is said that it has a section which contains stories designated as the narrative section, whereas another section which contained prescriptions about social norms was designated as didactic. So the division of the text was not hard and fast, or it cannot be changeable. It is completely flexible. Okay, the didactic section includes stories, and narrative often contains a social messages. So we can't only say that it is meant only for one type of stories. However, generally historians agree that Mahabharata was meant to be a dramatic one or a moving story. But later on, we found that it has got some didactic portions which were probably added later. So why it was done and what is the reason of it? Interestingly, what we find is that the text describes as an itihas within an Sanskrit. So what is this itihas? The literal meaning of it is that thus it was, which is why it was generally translated as history. So the Mahabharata was translated into history. But now our question is, was there a real war that was remembered in the epic? So this question is always a doubtful one. So we are not sure whether it was really taken place or it did not. But anyhow, we have to find out what is what. Some historians also think that the memory of an actual conflict amongst brothers was preserved in the narrative. That means as a stories only, which was told orally. But for some historians, this war is a mystery as there is no proper evidence.